In the dusty capital of Ouagadougou, something dangerous stirred in the shadows. A deadly plan was unfolding. A conspiracy to eliminate the man who had dared to challenge foreign domination and corruption in Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Just months after taking power, Traoré had become a beacon of hope for the youth, a defiant voice against Western influence, particularly that of France and the United States. But his rise was not welcomed by all. Behind closed doors, a secret group of soldiers began to gather. They called him reckless, bold, dangerous. But the truth? He was a threat to their deals, their wallets, and their foreign handlers. Sources revealed these conspirators had been contacted by outsiders, believed to be Western agents, who promised wealth, power, and a fast track to the top if they could eliminate Traoré. The plan was chilling. During his visit to the north to meet commanders, they would ambush him, blame terrorists, and seize power. But Traoré was already ahead of them. Unbeknownst to the plotters, he had built a new, loyal intelligence unit, rooted not in money but in patriotism. They had been listening, watching, tracing money, and tracking meetings. The trap was being set, and while the conspirators sharpened their blades, Traoré waited in silence. The night in Ouagadougou was still eerily quiet. In the city's military barracks, the traitors met for the final time, armed, prepared, convinced their secret was safe. But it wasn't. Traoré's intelligence unit had infiltrated them. A loyal soldier had fed back every detail. Codes, meeting points, even the time of the planned strike. Just hours before they moved, Traoré gave the order. In a sweeping operation, loyal forces surrounded the barracks, sealed checkpoints, and seized weapons. One by one, the traitors were arrested. Some were caught with wads of foreign cash. Others carried encrypted messages from European sources. One even had a French-made radio tuned to a secret channel. When questioned, most stayed silent. But one broke. "They promised us safety if it failed," he whispered. But it didn't just fail, it collapsed. Traoré stayed silent for 2 days. The country had no idea what had just been prevented, but the silence was about to be broken. As dawn rose, crowds gathered in shock. The rumors were true. And then came the trucks, dozens of captured soldiers in chains, faces uncovered. These were men once seen laughing in cafes, wearing medals, commanding units. Now they were kneeling in the heat, heads bowed before the people and the president. Ibrahim Traoré stood before them, calm, composed, but seething with quiet fury. No teleprompter, no script, just him, a soldier of the people. "These men," he said, "are not heroes. They are not patriots. They are traitors." He walked among them. In front of one man, an old classmate from military school, he paused. "You? Even you?" He turned to the crowd. "They took money from Africa's enemies, from foreign powers who still believe we are theirs. But we are not. We are free now." The silence cracked into roaring chants, tears, drums. This wasn't just justice. It was a declaration. Burkina Faso would not fall, but the shock deepened. This wasn't merely a coup attempt by greedy soldiers. It was a foreign operation. Traoré's team had combed through phones, laptops, and voice notes. What they found was staggering. Encrypted emails to European private firms, messages in polished French and English, intelligence jargon like neutralized northern visit, and funds approved for secondary team. The money? Traced to Western bank accounts. One officer held $50,000 in crisp U.S. dollars and euros. Another had frequent calls with a French-speaking aid worker linked to a West African embassy. These weren't mere rebels. They were assets bought and trained. Why would the West want Traoré gone? Because he had done what few African leaders dared. He expelled French troops, shut down exploitative foreign mining operations, rejected aid laced with conditions. He aligned with Pan-African nations and powers beyond the West. He declared, Africa will no longer kneel. Burkina Faso had become an example, one that terrified Western interests. Then the smear campaign began. Foreign journalists made strange calls. Articles appeared branding him a dictator. NGOs warned of democracy in danger. And behind it all, sleeper cells moved. Foreign consultants arrived. Training programs, taught soldiers how to seize governments, not fight terrorists. Weapons arrived quietly, through convoys marked as humanitarian aid. Some soldiers had just returned from training in Europe, and the U.S. bribes were paid. Families promised visas. One was even promised the Ministry of Defense. Traoré stayed silent, but vigilant. As the net closed in, he let them believe Burkina Faso was sleeping. But he was watching. When the strike came, it wasn't just to stop a coup. It was to reveal the truth. The real enemy wasn't just within. It was outside, in Paris, Washington, and Brussels. The coup had failed. The plotters were exposed, and the foreign puppeteers dragged into the light. But Traoré didn't gloat. For 2 days he said nothing. The air was tense. Some feared retaliation. Foreign media called him paranoid. But within Burkina Faso, something stirred. Hope. Young people marched. Elders spoke of pride they hadn't felt since independence. Women sang. Artists painted murals of Traoré alongside Sankara. And then, on the third night, Traoré spoke. Not from a palace, not behind glass, but from the ground, among his people. No suit, no stage. Just him, Burkina Faso's son. You have seen what they tried to do, he said. They turned our own brothers into tools. But we are not theirs, not anymore. He paused. They sent money, weapons, promises of power. But what they don't understand is Burkina Faso is not for sale. Our land, our blood, our future, not for sale. The crowd roared, but his voice grew louder. To Mali, to Niger, to Congo, to Sudan. They will come for you too, with agents, with bribes, with bombs and lies. But this is a generation of freedom. Do not kneel. Stand like the baobab tree. That night, Traoré announced a new doctrine: zero tolerance for foreign military presence, expulsion of NGOs funding destabilization, full control over national resources, investments only from those who respect sovereignty, a national history curriculum to teach about colonialism and foreign interference. Western governments scrambled. France denied involvement. The U.S. wavered. Some called for sanctions. But across Africa, something shifted. In Mali, rallies. In Niger, demand for reform. In Guinea, you've blasted his speech with pride. Traoré was no longer just a leader. He was a symbol, a spark. And as the sun dipped over Ouagadougou, he left his people with one final message. They tried to kill me, but I survived, not because I am special, but because I walk with the people. And as long as I do, no foreign bullet, no traitor, no empire can bring me down. Long live Burkina Faso. Long live a free Africa. The crowd erupted. And so, the story of a failed assassination became something greater. A warning, a lesson, a call to rise. From Ouagadougou to Kinshasa, from Addis Ababa to Accra, Africa was waking up, and it would not go back to sleep.